So, guys, welcome to another installment of the Sling Den. Now, I've had a couple of people come on from different nations of the globe. We've had the majority of people from the UK and the USA. I've also had a Spaniard on, I've had a Canadian on, but today we're adding another nationality. Well, two. I've got a German board maker who now resides in the land down under of Australia, and that is Chris from Down Under Catapults. How you doing, Chris?
Hey, I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good. I'm happy to have you on. I was just saying there how we're adding another nationality to the Sling Den.
Yes.
I know a lot of people will know who you are by your frames, but give us a quick introduction.
Well, my name is Chris. I come from Germany. Moved to Australia 12 years ago. So my mother, she's Australian. She came over here 25 years ago. There was nobody left in Germany, so I thought, pack my stuff and come over. Best decision ever. I love the country. The people are super easy. It's a huge difference to Germany. Way more easygoing here as over there. So yeah, it can't be better.
And so let's talk about your accent a little bit, because I can definitely hear a little bit of German, but we definitely got Australian in there as well. It's quite a strange mix, isn't it?
Yeah, I said it when I had a live with Rex. I can't stand myself on recordings, because when I talk, I hear myself in an Aussie accent, perfect English, no problems. As soon as I hear my recordings, I think, the heck, what's going on? There's no Aussie accent. You hear the German and your English, it sucks,
In a way, it kind of sounds a little bit South African.
Yeah, a couple of people said that already, where might be something on it, But I don't like that German accent. I wish I could get rid of it. My mom, she grew up here in Australia till she was 18 or so, 17, 18, and then she moved back to Germany with the grandparents. When you listen to her English is perfect. It's an Aussie, you would never pick that she's German. And if she talks German, you would never think that she speaks English. With her, it's perfect. No, not with me. I went.
And let's talk a little bit about you. Where did the kind of love of slingshots come from?
Well, say this way it started, or I think with the lockdowns, we were just pretty bored. Started watching more YouTube videos, getting away from all that TV drama what went on, because we couldn't see anything else as COVID here, COVID there. So we went mainly on YouTube started watching alone with our famous Mr. Fowler. Seeing him using slingshots, I thought I make myself one. I actually have her here, so so that was my first slingshot. She is an absolute.
That was the first one you ever made.
You see, where's my camera? So you see that the forks are different, wide. Yeah, it's really thin. This is really wide, It lays super in the hand, but when you look at it, it was a fail completely, So I thought, I'll make another one. Got better with that, and I did more work on frames as I actually was shooting. The first one was finished, and I looked at it and I thought, I do a better one. Made the next one, and that's how it went on. So I started doing stuff like this with resin on it and timber on the rear side. That was, I think, my third frame what I did, more or less. And then from there, I had a couple really big ones that they are. I think you could kill bears with that. It is so fat. I never got rid of it. I then started doing weird artwork with it. So you can see the handle.
Nice.
It's just different, but they were just laying around, and then I started doing Scout X's, I think, or yeah, it was a Scout, and I did not even know that as a model would get sold at that time. I just went online, had a look for something, thought, I like this one, copied it, and sent it through the CNC machine. And one day I was talking with Mo Waller, and he said, "Look, you do great work, but stop doing this. The slingshots, they are from a shop." And then I've only realized, oh shit, you're copying someone's work, you know. And that's when I started doing my own designs and thought, oh, I have to do my own stuff, you know. I can't copy and take other people's stuff. And that's how
And
it came.
before this, did you have any sort of crafts kind of experience? But how did you kind of get into it?
So I made a apprenticeship as a cabinet maker when I was 14, 15. So I always loved working with wood. Then I think I'm a pretty creative guy. I loved always drawing. Doesn't matter if it's graffiti or just pencil drawings. Everything what has to do with art. I was good with. I don't with my hands. I can work good. I'm really interested in certain skills. So if I master something, then I always try to add something different towards it. So at the moment, I love slingshots over everything, you know. But I'm also super interested in knife making. If that wouldn't cost that much money to start with that, you know, I'm pretty sure I would do something like this on the side. But yeah, for now it's slingshots, and I think that stays for quite a while.
And obviously, you said there about making your own designs.
Sorry.
Where did that come from?
Sorry, what was the question?
You said about creating your own designs. Where did the idea behind your design come from?
Okay, because I mean you can't make a slingshot, or you can make a design what is new, but a slingshot it will be always a slingshot. So some will always look certain way or close to someone else's, you know. And I just so that's basically my basher model. I call it basher, yeah, and that is a left hand hold, right hand hold, and with that one I started because I looked like pinch grip more than brace grip. So I wanted something like that. Started painting. I tried a couple different versions of this one. They were at the beginning they were 105 millimeter wide. Then I went down to 100, then down to 95. And yeah, at the moment I can do them in 90 and 95 millimeters. And so yeah, that was my first design. Then after that, I basically started with the snakeheads, which is this model. So that looks actually similar to this one. Wait a second. Do I hold it the right way? Yes, exactly. So that's for one customer. He saw the snakehead and he said, "Oh, he likes this one." And if I could make him a basher, what looks similar to that. So I tried to copy them. So that the design is basically the same. It's just the shape is different. So
Nice.
that's basically the Tuesday designs where I worked the most with. And then I came when I was with James Gonzalez back then in contact and planning to make a frame for the tournament. I said I make him one too, and so I came up with this little fella because he wants a small frame, not the big fork width and whatsoever. So that was the prototype for that what I sent to James Gonzalez back then. Pretty nice to hold. It's a nice frame, but too small for me. Everything under 95, it goes in all directions, but not straight. I can't find my anchor, you know. So I stay away from the small ones. I make them, but I don't shoot them.
And then what about in terms of materials? Where do you source your materials?
So here in Australia, it's pretty hard to get G10. So when I started with Slingshots, first I wanted only to use Australian timber, Australian wood, and that's what I did at the beginning. Then my first real customer, he wanted what was it? I can't remember the name, but he wanted something special, not made out of timber. So I thought, okay, I tried myself with paper mikado. So I started making paper mikado, got pretty good with that. Started making one, but I wasn't happy. So then I started. What was the next one? Then with resin, I tried it with resin. Looked also good, but was also not that what I wanted, and also didn't want to sell him that. And then I thought, fuck, I bite in that apple and look for G10. And when I found out that there's G10 way cheaper as my resin mixes, all that other rubbish what I tried before, you know, you buy the resin and you the paper and all the work to get the result what you need takes way too long, is way too expensive. The G10 way cheaper. The only problem what we have here is we don't have much knife maker supplies where we basically get the G10 in Australia, and so therefore the colors are pretty limited. Basic colors is that what I use on my website when you see my frames. That's the main colors. I think the only color I didn't use yet was pink. And otherwise every other color what I can get my hand on, I already use. So it's not a big variety here.
And then, what about in terms of time? How long does it generally take you to make a frame?
So it depends. Say, let's have a look for a simple one. So that's one of my new skulls or snakeheads. So when you look at this one, it's pretty simple layout at the back, So it's just layers. There's no cuttings in it, or let's see if you compare it with this one, where you look into the. Can you see it? Where you look into the floor and you see that I split it up or stuff like this. When you see stuff like this here on the outside of this bloody camera, that takes a little bit time because you glue a couple layers, cut them apart again, put the dividers in. That takes quite a lot. But if I just layer simple colors up without any cuttings, then I can do a frame in 1.5 days. I don't want to rush it, but because it's just gluing stuff together, it doesn't take long. And the way how I work, it's time saving. So I'll show you quickly for the people who maybe want to know how I do it. So I've got an aluminium template here where I have holes drilled, and what I do is I paint on that's a G10 layer, 0.5 millimeter. So I paint. You see the outline around there with a marker. That's where I basically lay it on the aluminium plate. It comes on there. You see the G10 is a little bit bigger than the aluminium plate. I drill the holes for pins, and then I have the opposite piece where I can, because the holes are drilled, I flick that over the pins, come again with the aluminium from on top, and then I just go around the router, a router table. And at the end, it comes basically out of the machine like, when I'm done, it looks basically like this. You just pull it off, and you have your perfect layer. And because of the holes, I can put pins through. I can layer the whole slingshot up in one go. If there's no cuttings, like I said in there, then it goes really quick. But, I mean, I stand there for a while to cut it in rough shape. That takes a while, but therefore in half a day I can do 50, 70 layers, cutting them together, and then that's enough work for a couple of days.
Nice. And obviously the snakehead is quite a unique design in itself. But where does the skull come from, and how do we get that looking so crisp and sharp?
Okay, so I wanted to do a skull since I saw which one is it? Is it simple? No, not simple. Sure. I don't know. I don't even know the brand yet. There's one skull frame out there what is absolutely amazing. I love it, And I always wanted to make one with a skull, but on my basher, there's not much space to bring eyes into it or anything. There's just no space. And when I made the snakehead, one day I looked at it and I thought, you might be able to put eyes on there, and then played a little bit around, painted around on it. And then I thought, no, that works. And so the first two the first two skulls were just made out of G10, bit layered up, and then cut the eyes in and the nose and all the stuff. But it takes shitloads of time to do it that way.
I was going to say it seems like a big kind of project.
Yes, yeah. You sand and file and whatsoever, and because it's so stupid to hold. You have only a thin plate of G10, and it was a mess. Even with the Dremel, it does not work proper. And then I thought I have to do it different and look up how to make resin molds, and bought myself all that stuff. What you need to make a mold, and first I modeled the skull with something like putty. It's for model makers. So I modeled the skull till it was perfect, and then I made the negative form of it in as a mold, and I filled them just up with resin, either the glow resin or colored resin, any color. And with that, I play around at the moment quite a bit. So I have non-glowing ones, I have the glowing ones. I have a mixture between both. Yeah.
And have you got any there you can show us?
Well, I've got a couple. So this one is one what I do at the moment. That's the American.
Nice.
The eyes are still missing. The maker's pin. I want to put the maker's pin down there, and that's from the rear side. Hold it like this.
Nice.
I couldn't do the stars proper, so I just used pins, but tried to do all the colors, blue, white, and red. So it has cuts everywhere in there. So that is a glow one. Unfortunately, it's too much light, but the blue one is glowing. That's the one what I showed you before, the black and white one. That's a pretty simple one. It has cuts in the core, but it's not too much on the back. Then I've got this black red one. That's
Nice.
It looks a bit dark. You barely can see the red. In daylight you see it. So that's basically the snakeheads. This one is one with two colors, also orange and green. There's also layers between. I think 2 layers between with glow layers, so it glows in all directions, and that is for made for me from me. Was a mistake, last time where I had a giveaway with this purple frame, what I gave away for hitting 500 followers. I think you said to me, you gave the number out twice to someone else. You remember? I think it was. Yeah, and that other dude was actually my mate out of town. So
Right.
it looked really bad, I could not give him the frame and let Damien Lee, who actually won it back then, say, no, you can't have it, it's my mate. It would look like I faked it, So I said to my mate, sorry, mate, I have to give it to that other guy, otherwise I lose people, And so this one started as a custom job, but I fucked up basically by doing that resin, so that it's not air bubbles, but I think the glow stuff what is in there, that powder what I mixed in wasn't a proper mixed, and now you see some spots where it's not perfect, so I couldn't sell this one. This is now going to the guy who won the last frame and didn't got one. So Squeak, if you see that, it's soon done, and then it's going your way.
Nice. And what about sort of yourself? What do you shoot? I imagine you get great pleasure in shooting your own frames. But how much time do you kind of get to go out and shoot? with all this making that you're doing.
Not much. So before, there's times where when I built the snakehead, I was shooting every day for quite a while because I can aim super good with it. It's super accurate for me. Then it slows down again because you start working on frames again, maybe start a new frame, get really involved, and you forget everything around you. Even if I go out for a ciggy and sit there and smoke, I could actually shoot at that time, but I just sit there, relax quick, and then it goes back in and do the next one or work on something else, But shooting, I think this year, since January, I probably stood only there 4 times shooting, so not really much. I shot with Rex. I did a can cut for James Gonzalez. I tested the last one, basically that one. I shot that for a while, 2-3 days, and that's about it. So it is sad. I should spend more time shooting, but yeah. The other thing is I don't have anybody here besides my mate, and he just started shooting. He got a custom one from me. He ordered one. I gave it to him, and he had it laying now at home for quite a while before he got into it. And we met once up together, shot at my place. But he has his own business, so he has not always time. So it's if you're alone, it's boring after a while.
And then in terms of the customs, how does that work? Because I've seen a couple of posts from you where you were kind of just designing your frames, and then people were obviously then able to go and buy them. But then the other side of customs is where someone tells you exactly what they want, and you can kind of make that. What are you doing at the moment? Are you kind of taking on custom ideas from people, or are you just making your own and putting them out there?
I do take custom jobs on and go after what they want from me. So if it's a certain color, it doesn't matter. Um, so there's Sean from the UK, Sean Hackleton. You know him?
Yeah.
And he messaged me and he said, I want a frame from you, but I want one you never made before. And I thought, oh, okay, so a new design. So I sat down and I had a look at the Dragon Blade, where you can get a template from. And I liked the way how it was, but I was not happy with everything on it. So I changed around a couple of things on it. And that's my latest model. I call it the Kookaburra. Changed it a little bit up, and that was the first frame for Sean. He was super happy to get it, but I was not allowed to post on Facebook anything till he gets the frame delivered to his place. I was sitting at home for weeks, waiting that bloody parcel arrives. I couldn't post pictures whilst I was making it, and it was a really pretty frame, in my opinion, one of my nicest ones. And then he said, "Well, that was what it was good. Now you make me another one." Also, never been there, so I have to do another design now for him. But otherwise than that, most people, if they come to me, they ask, like, "Can I have a snakehead in blue, purple, or whatsoever?" A lot of people just say to me, "Do whatever you want, and tell me when it's done." They don't say colors or what they want. It's different. Some frames what I make, like this one, it looks like a custom job because not many would build a frame like that just to let her lay around and hope that someone buys it. But I had that not long laying around, and then the first one came and said, "Oh, is that a custom job or is it for sale?" And I said, "No, it's for sale." I take bum. So yeah.
And what do you prefer to do? Do you prefer to be able to just have your own creative mind go wild and do something yourself, or do you kind of like the idea that someone tells you what they want and then you can go ahead and put your creative idea into it?
I like both. So if I can work for myself, it goes quicker, because I have my ideas what I want to do. But if it's for a customer, then I think on so many different ways how I could do it so that he likes it. If I do here divider, or do I do no dividers at all, or how do I line it up? There's the non-stop head war going on. What could be the best outcome for him? But if he says, "Well, do whatever you want," then I know in which direction I go, and then I'm also happy at the end. When you send a frame away like that one for Sean, where you don't know if he actually likes it, if you went the right direction, but yeah, I got that email from him, and I know that he was over the moon because he was going on, I think, for 10 minutes, how happy he is and everything. And
He sent me a picture the other day, actually. I think he's got like 5-6 frames from you, doesn't he? So
he has 7 now at the moment. There's another 2 coming, then he's up to 9. Yes.
it's crazy.
Yeah,
Crazy. I mean, they are beautiful frames, and how does it make you feel when you get that feedback? Because obviously everything you do is kind of done by hand and is your own work. No one else out there is doing what you're doing in terms of your design. How does it make you feel when you get that positive feedback?
Well, it's weird. So because I only do it since 2.5 years, so 2.5 years, that was my first slingshot 2.5 years ago, and then it went really. I think in the first half year I went really good. And then I had my first 2 customers were friends, and I thought, well, it's just friends, they see you do something and you're not living in Germany anymore. So I thought, yeah, it's all right, you make them one, they paid their money. But then after that, when I made my first proper slingshots and I gave them away or sold them and I got the feedback, I thought, oh, that's not bad, I like that. But the first time where it really kicked me was when I had a chat with Mo Waller. Because so one guy messaged, no, he didn't message me, but I posted a slingshot online. So this is my personal frame. A lot of people saw that already.
Yeah,
that's an aluminium frame, and the frame what I was posting online, it was roughly this thick as well, 25 millimeters in thickness. And the guy said, "Oh, your frames are shit. You will never hit something. They are too big and fat, and rubbish." And I sat there, and because it was just starting, with Slingshots, I thought, oh shit, maybe he's right. I'm not a professional, but I better ask someone before I get the shits or before I do something wrong. I want to do it right. So I messaged Moan and said, look, listen, this happened. What's your opinion on that? And he sent me a speech message back, on Messenger. And he said, first of all, don't listen to him. I've got frames there wide, thicker than yours, and they shoot perfectly. It doesn't matter how thick they are. It's just up to you if you can shoot it or not. And he said, and anyway, your frames are absolutely stunning. You love my work and keep going and whatsoever. And when I was sitting there listening to that message from him, I was shaking, because you look up to someone where that the whole world wants Slingshots from him. And I expected a short message from him, but he gave me a 5-minute text back, talking. And after that, I thought, okay, I think I'm on the right way. And since then, when people go crazy and say, like, Sean, oh, there's nobody better than you, well, I don't believe that. I'm just happy that there's people out there, they like my stuff, but that I'm there where I'm at the moment, I wouldn't thought so that I get that far. So that's a good thing.
A lot of makers are very generous. You said about Moan there. It is quite a good community with the makers, and everyone wants to give a bit of advice and help each other out and stuff like that. And you've quickly kind of rose with your customs. I kind of categorize yourself with some of these makers around the world that I consider the best. Are you surprised by how successful you've been? Because I do see your frames as one of the staples when you look at the customs. Everybody knows your frames by the way they look.
Yeah, I don't know what to say, because there's so many great makers out there. Everyone has a different style, or not everyone, but some go like me, do a lot of cuttings or whatever. Like the first guy where I actually looked at before I even knew about Moan was because I went on Instagram and looked up their Slingshots, and I think his name is Melis. What's his name? His name is Sharko690 or something on Instagram, but his real name is Melis something else. I can't remember. It's a difficult name, and his frames are out of this world. It's basically he does that stuff like this timber stuff, with a lot of cuttings and nice colors. And I looked a lot of his stuff up, the way how he made it, and I think I learned from him first, and that was where I got my ideas from. And then when I started joining actually Slingshot groups, and then found out who are the makers and who are the ones where everyone is running to, you see that quite quick, and then I knew where I have to look at. But yeah, there's different ones like Harley Davidson. He makes nice frames, it doesn't matter if it's G10 frames or timber frames or whatsoever. Yeah, I think there's heaps of good makers out there.
And then what about Australia itself? It's not really a country where we see a lot of people come out as either makers or shooters. It seems like it's such a big country, and there's a lot of stuff that goes on in Australia. Why do you think kind of catapults are not as prominent in Australia?
It's a good question. So we have from 7 states, like even Tasmania, New Zealand, where if you take all together, plus Australia, there's only here in Australia itself, it's only 4 states where it's allowed and 3 where it's not allowed. So New South Wales, you can't shoot them. You can't shoot them in Western Australia, Northern Territory, and where else? I think that's it. But Queensland, you can shoot. 2 hours away from me, it's Canberra. No problem. You can go into Canberra, the capital. You can have everything from a paint gun to Nerf guns to slingshots, everything. As soon as you leave Canberra, it's already illegal again. So I don't think that there's that many slingshot shooters. I know a couple of them, and we're messaging with each other and whatsoever, but I don't think that he will be ever a big competition going on or anything like that. It's a nanny country, they take everything away from us. Yeah, I'm not even allowed to have a pocket knife on me when I go out of house. A Switzer pocket knife, not even that is legal here. And everyone has that when you go to work. You need a quicker knife or something. Doesn't work here.
And when you say they're not allowed, you're not allowed to shoot them, not allowed to sell them. What's the deal with that?
I think all of it. So I really don't look much into it because honestly, I can't really give a shit, because there's so much other stuff going on in this world. I think slingshots should be the smallest problem, and the only way that a slingshot leaves my property is anyway in a sealed package when I bring it to the post and send it overseas. Here in Australia, I don't really like sending frames to other people because of that, but it's way easier inland because you don't have to declare what's in there. You just send it in a parcel and 2 days later it's there. If I send it overseas, I always have to write weird stuff on the declaration, handmade carbon fiber frame, or and they always think it's a picture frame or something when they ask
Sure.
me, is it a picture frame or what is it? The first couple of times I stood there and thought, what should I say? No, you can hang it on the wall and look at it. You can put it on your table and look at it. Basically, it's something like a picture frame. So they write that into the paperwork, and then it goes overseas. And till now, it always worked.
And what's coming next for you? What's in your pipeline for the next year? What do you think you're going to be doing?
So with us now, so on my Facebook page, I put that post up. A lot of people probably saw that we moved out at the place where we were living before. So we were living with my parents to help my mother out with my dad when he was sick, because he had cancer. He had dementia. He always fall out of bed at night, and my mother could not just pick him up, put him back to bed. So we moved basically into help out at home. And for the last 2 years, we were living there, helping wherever we could. Now Dad passed away, and our need is not really needed there anymore. Everything went anyway downhill since Dad died, so too much drama going on. So my wife and me thought we were moving out. But because of my 2 dogs, to find a place here in that little town where I live, it's not possible, or barely possible, to find a house to rent. So we said we buy us a caravan, we get ourselves a spot, and so now we're living in the caravan. It's like holiday 24/7. We're only here since yesterday, but as soon we come out here, it already feels like holiday. It's such a different atmosphere. You feel way better. I suffer with depressions for a long time, but since we know that we're moving out and we see that everything gets better, I had no depressions. I smile every day. It's like it's gone, so it's good. I can smile even if it's not everything. It's a bit tighter. I don't have this big shipping container as a workshop anymore. No, I have only a little tent here in front of the caravan, but because I have a good boss. So Lindsay, if you see that, thanks for being my boss. So I work in a motorbike shop, a casual, and I build motorbikes when they come in crates or side by side, all these farm vehicles. And so I only work a couple hours a day, but my boss said, since you move out there, with all your tools, what are you doing? And I said, I don't know. I probably would have to sell them. I can't take my bandsaw in a caravan park, my thickness or my table saw or whatsoever. He said, no, you know what? Bring it to work. I have a room down there. We can store it. You can use it whatsoever, and just store it there because one day you will need it again. So that means my whole workshop will go to him, get stored there, and the easy work will be done here, like all the glue ups, the sandings, all that stuff. But if it goes to cutting the G10 or the more noisy work where I need my angle grinder or bigger tools, that's when I do it after work. So when I finish my shift, because it's just 2 to 4 hours, not more, what I work in that motorbike shop, I can go in the morning and then work till the afternoon in that shop for myself, come home, do the rest of the work here, and goodness. it's just getting used to it, you know. The caravan park where we are is super good. We're allowed to have dogs, but the problem is we can't leave the dogs unattended here at the caravan park.
Right.
Means my wife goes to work, I have to be here. Means if I don't have any work to do here and that I would have to do work at the motorbike shop, I have to wait till she comes home, sit on my bike, run into town, and do then my work. So it will slow a little bit down, but I'm pretty sure it will still continue the way how it was before. Keep going and trying to make good frames.
Well, I seen the picture yesterday of your caravan with your little tent. You had the blue skies, the sun coming down, and talking about holidays, it looks perfect.
Oh, good. I love it here. You know, we don't have much rain. I love the weather, and as a German, or I think every German will say he would love to be in Australia because we hate the German weather. You know, or most of them. In winter, the winter here in Australia can be pretty harsh. So I live in the countryside, and some winters we had here felt way colder as the ones what we had in Germany.
Oh,
But
really? That's surprising.
you know, when you have the sun coming out in Germany and the snow is laying, it still reflects, and then it's not too cold. But here, when the cold wind is going through, not even having snow laying, I run around with two jumpers. You know, I have jogging pants under my jeans. I look like an Eskimo, and even in summer. So this summer was not the hottest, but I had not for a single day shorts on. Always jeans, you know, and the Aussie, he's so used to that. You see them at 6 o'clock in the morning when it really is fucking cold out there. They still stand at the bus station, you know, and I walk past with two jumpers and freeze, you know, and they stand there like it's holiday season, you know. But yeah, so I love the heat. My wife, who is Aussie, she hates the heat. She loves the cold, you know. So it's not really working.
Well, we've got some questions sent in for you,
Yeah.
and maybe a surprise one as well. So we'll get started with this one. I mean, some of them are hilarious, but we'll start from the top. So this one's by Joe Roberts. Does a day sack still work at night? And my other question is, if you could own any slingshot design and materials that isn't your own, what would it be?
Okay, so a day sack. What is a day sack?
I don't know. I thought it'd be an Australian sort of thing.
If it's an Aussie thing, then my German is coming through, you know, and I have no idea what a day sack is. No, I wouldn't be able to answer that one. Before it gets embarrassing and I talk about the wrong sack or whatever, I better leave that. Slingshots. So materials. I like my slingshots where I use the timber. I like them more as my G10 slingshots. The G10s, they always look a little bit cheaper. The timber ones, like my custom jobs, that's the ones where you see a little bit more art in it, where it's a little bit more. Yeah, I don't know the word. You have more to look at. So slingshot design, which would be my favorite. I would not even know. There's a couple slingshots out there. There's one from Simple Shot, but it's a TTF version. It's only I think it calls Torque, if I'm not wrong.
The talk, yeah.
And I like the way how the handle is, you know, the way how it looks. But it's a TTF, and I never shot a TTF, you know. But alone from the design, I like that one a lot. Materials, yeah, as I said, everything what is exotic timber, you know, all kind of colors and patterns on it. That's what I love the most. With the G10, because you can layer the colors up the way how you want. Yeah, not a big fan of it, say it this way.
Nice. So we got a shout out from Sean Hackleton. It's not really a question, but we'll give him a shout out. We know he's a big fan of not only your frames, but the show as well. So big shout out to Sean. The next one's by Jesus G. Ramirez. So what's the biggest difference when it comes to slingshots you see in Australia versus other countries?
Well, I see you guys streaming a lot. I see us start doing it now. So with Adam, starting posting videos, or going live. Then I have another guy, Jules, where I don't think he's doing online videos. I'm not really sure, but I think that's the only ones where I really know from here from Australia, and therefore I think it's pretty dead over here. So every time if I talk to someone about what you're doing, when they ask what you're doing, I start like, well, I build slingshots, and then they look at. It's always the same. What slingshots? Kids' toys. It's always the same. That nobody knows here that is actually sport. That there's competitions. When they hear slingshots here, it's automatically a little toy. When I then pull my mobile out and say, no, I don't make kids' toys. This is what I do. I show pictures. Then the face drops. Then they realize, that they are proper slingshots. Yeah, sure. And then they say, but it's illegal, right? I say, well, you just told me it's a kid's toy, so why should I give a shit? I don't see it that bad. I don't go hunting because all I could hunt here would be pigeons. I barely see a squirrel or pheasant or anything like that. So hunting is not an option, and therefore you shoot in your backyard, and that's about it.
Nice. So the next one we've got is by Brian McGregor. Do you find that the materials you use on the slingshots are hard to get or relatively easy and pretty cheap to buy?
So it depends. So I bought. So the G10 is not too expensive. I pay for a sheet between $1 up to $6-7 per sheet. Depends on the strength, and I usually only buy a 0.5 millimeter, 1.2 and 3 millimeter sheets, and there it goes up to $6 per sheet, and that's 30 by 30 centimeters. So to make a frame is from the material costs. Depends how much colors you use. It's not too expensive to make. But with my timber frames so if I buy as I said before, all my stuff comes from knife making supplies, and you can buy this knife scales or timber blocks for the knife scales, and a single block where you basically only make one knife scale out of it, 2 sides, and it's purple heart. It's a purple timber. That cost me straight $60. And that doesn't last long. So if I make it like you see it on this frame. So this is purple heart here. The bottom pieces, the stripes in here is purple heart. The top is purple heart, and this one's. So I use only small pieces always from that knife scale, but you have also a lot of offcuts. Only to make a little piece like that, you still cut shitloads of it away. What you can't use later. Means the $60 for a knife scale, you do 2 frames maybe, and then it's gone. So that was the expensive timber, and that was the dearest what I had for $60. Black oak, what is a really light timber and small, but also $40, and you don't do much with that either, but my timber frames. A lot of people think always that they're freaking expensive, but the frames, what I do when I compare it, so I mean, like I say, I don't make frames which are dearer than $350 Australian dollars. That's the maximum where I want to go, because I think everything over it is stupid. I would never pay that much money. It doesn't matter who would make that slingshot. I would not pay $400 for a slingshot Australian dollars. That's in my eyes. Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't do that. So that's why my dearest ones are $350, and I don't try to go any dearer. And with my skulls, they start around the $200 mark and can go up to the $250, $270. Depends on if it's glowing or whatsoever. But I try not to get dearer than that.
Sure. No, I can imagine, it's the time as well. It's not just the materials. It's the time that it takes you And it's not just like the one material, is it? There's a whole bunch of materials that goes into it. You've got the clips, all sorts of stuff.
You need the washers, the rivets, and I mainly do clip frames. Only if someone says, "Oh, you don't need to make clips on it," then I don't do it. But I never build frames without clips. I usually always do clips. So you need the washers, the bolts, the inserts, a lot of freaking sanding paper. You go through sanding paper like hell, and epoxy glue. Yeah, shitloads of epoxy glue. So yeah, I don't know. I like working with all materials, and it's always like when I started doing this frame for me, I had made so many frames for other people, and I saw my skills getting better and better, and the frames, every frame what I made for a customer, I thought, oh, I wish I could keep that. I wish I could keep that, And then I came to one frame where I said, you know what, I have it up to here. I'm still shooting this thing here. So I shot that the most time, That is nice. What is it called? The G10 from. It's a really famous template. It's a TTF frame usually, but I made a OTT out of it. And I was shooting that for 1.5 years, and then I had the guts full, and I thought, you know what? Now I make myself something proper, and that's when I started doing this
with that
element frame. Took a lot of work in it. I learned a lot about when I did this frame because I never worked with aluminium. I started working with brass. Till you realize that brass and epoxy glue are not the best friends. You really have to pin stuff, otherwise it falls apart. It was a long way to get where this frame is, but I love it. It is a heavy frame. I like the heavier frames more because when you really have, you can feel it. If it's too light, I wobble around there, and with a big one, with a heavy one, it's quite good for me.
Nice.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So the next one is another material-related question by Aaron von Holsten of Leighton Strods and Catties. If you could use any material cost not applicable, what would you use and why?
Oh, good question. Well, I would probably put the brass away and use gold, instead of brass. Instead of aluminium, titanium or how you call it.
Titanium.
At the beginning, I still have a CNC machine, but she broke down straight at the beginning when I started making frames, and I never started working by hand. But if I would still have that machine running, I would probably do more aluminium cores, more aluminium frames, because it would take a lot of work from me off, where I don't sit there and first with the angle grinder, then rasp, and because it's all handwork and there's no machines involved, it takes a lot of time. With the G10s, there I use the router to form the separate layers, but then at the end, when you have it glued together, you still have to go over it again. So I think I would try gold and titanium, if I had the tools for it.
Nice. The next one's by Lee Harrison Slingshot of Under Me Sling Team. Where did the skull design come from? And do you have any other novelty designs in the pipeline?
So, as I said before, I saw that it was not Simple Shot. I don't think it was Simple Shot. There's this one skull out there. It looks, I have no idea which brand that is whatsoever. But as I said, when I saw that skull, that's when I thought one day I'll make my own one. And then I did it with a snakehead. And one customer came, Cam Bacon from the UK. He's a good mate for me. He ordered 3 frames at once. He bought one what was already for sale. Then he said, oh, I want 2 other ones. I started the next one. Then he said he wants a 3rd one whilst I was building the 2nd one. And I thought, God, he gets that many frames from me. And we were talking about his son and whatsoever. And I was just modeling with his stuff around. And I said, I want to do a different frame, also with a face. And I was looking up what I could do. And he had the idea of Sonic, that PlayStation game, Sonic. So I don't have it here. Oh. I have a look quick. No, it's laying somewhere. I don't know. So I started modeling Sonic also onto a snake head, but it will be a snake head in a size for kids. So she will be smaller. It will be the Sonic on it, and it will be more a kids frame. So for the younger generation, and that's the next thing what I do. I have another request from a German guy, also a friend, and he wants also the Sonic, either the Sonic or what was the other one? Maybe the Slimer from Ghostbusters.
Okay.
Something like that. And that's the next thing what I bring out. Then also 3D modeled and with glow stuff and all that kind of thing.
Nice.
Yeah,
Looking forward to seeing them for sure.
Yeah.
The next one's by Adam Holdren. What is your favorite thing about living in Australia, and what is the one thing you miss most about Germany that you don't experience over in Australia? Vegemite or Marmite, and Tim Tams or Penguins.
Okay. Start at the back. Tim Tams or Penguins? Both sucks. Aussies don't know how to make cookies. Fuck my life. Honestly, you eat a cookie here. Sorry to every Australian who sees that, but you guys need to learn proper bakery because cookies here. I can't buy dog cookies for my dog, and I think they are the same. So there's no big difference. Then you said Vegemite or that other stuff. Well, you can't hunt me down with that stuff. I tried it once, and I had Vegemite only slightly on a toast, really slightly on the corner, and I think it came out of my ears everywhere. I couldn't swallow it. It was bad. So
I imagine it's similar, but I love Marmite. Marmite on toast is.
Yeah, that's
what I imagine it's similar.
Aussies with their Vegemite. I mean, if that is the same stuff, yeah, then they are the same. I can't understand it. I watch them and I think my wife, she eats it, and no way. Again, the difference between Germany and Australia, or what I miss. So, as I said, I miss the bakery stuff. Certain things what we cook over there. So the food, I miss the food. It's a big difference between Australia. Like every country has their own meals or the way how they put seasoning in or whatsoever. It tastes different here. But what I love here in Australia is that everyone is so easygoing. I said in the last live, some people know heard it already. So sorry that I repeat myself. But when I came to Australia, my German absolutely sucked. I had only spoken English at school. We never spoke English at home, and for I think 25 years I didn't speak English. When I came to Australia, was really bad with it. Had my first job, walked in there, and I had two bosses. And the first one came in, talked to me. The second one came in and said, "Hey, what's your name?" And I said, "I'm Chris." And he said, "Well, I'm Steve." And I said, "Good. What's your last name?" And he's like, "What that mean?" I was like, "What do you mean?" I said, "Yeah, your surname. What's your surname?" And he's like, "Again, why you want to know that?" I said, "But I know how I address you, And he's like, I just fucking told you. My name is Steve." And I stood there and I thought, I don't know how should I take him serious, because he's halfway swearing. He's so weird, But then I realized really quick that it's with everyone here, A copper will never come to you and say, "I'm Constable Mr. whatsoever Smith," he comes always and say, "Hey, what's your name?" "I'm Chris," And then you talk to that copper by the first name. Or a lawyer, or it doesn't matter. You go to the doctors. It's also always a first name. You call them by the name, and with that you have straight a better conversation. You don't have this like when a cop in Germany. If you talk to a cop and you have to address him with Mister or Constable or whatever, it's always this little fear in you and this respect. But if you stand in front of a cop and he's straight with you, like, "Hey, I'm Chris," and whatever, you talk different to him. You're way easier, and that is everywhere. You can walk along the street, and basically it happened to me in the first town where I was living. That old man was doing his lawn. He sees me coming down the street, turns the lawnmower off, and walked to the fence And I was thinking he wants to get his mail or anything. And when I came closer, he's like, "Hey mate, how you going?" I was like, "Yeah, good. How are you?" And he's like, "Yeah, doing the lawn. And what are you doing?" And then I realized, first thought, he must got me wrong. He thought I'm someone else. Because in Germany, if you talk to an old person on the street and say, "Hey, how you going?" They start walking faster because they think you want to rob them. They it's not like here that they actually come to you and talk. So that's what I love here. It's way more easygoing. When the boss comes in here, you can do a dirty joke, or he's doing a dirty joke and you're laughing. And in Germany, you always have that feeling, if your boss comes in, better you turn your back to him, or you duck down under the table. You don't want to see the boss. You don't want to be seen. So yeah, big difference.
Nice. Sounds great. This one's by Double D's. Does kangaroos really wear boxing gloves?
No, but you can ride them. I do that. When I ride them, sometimes I have a slingshot with me, and then I shoot pigeons. No, not really. I don't. I think they can. I think they can really punch you hard, but that's
They can. Yeah, I've seen that.
With their back legs. They basically can kill you, as far as I know, when they go on their back tail and stand on their tail.
They're very muscular, aren't they? They've got a lot of muscle.
Yeah, they lift their whole fucking body just by standing on the tail, lifting the lower feet, and they have long claws, and with that they usually rip your guts open. They can be really mean.
There we go. Don't mess with kangaroos.
The
next one by Phil Gord. In Australia, do you aim low, and as the ball gets slower, does it go up in the air?
No, not really. It's all upside down here, I know, but it still goes the same direction as over there. Yeah.
So, Andy Mons, what are the laws on catapults in Australia, which I know you've touched on? And if you hunt, what is your quarry?
So, as I said, hunting is a big no here. Here where I live, you're allowed to have slingshot bands, just the rubber bands, but not the frame. You can have pocket shots or pocket slings, what is basically, it looks like a condom rolled over a round ring, where you can pull the thing out and then let it go. I mean, you probably can aim halfway right with it if you get used to it, but that's the only thing we are allowed here in New South Wales. Everything else is not allowed. Over here, it's that bad that you can't even have BB guns, or in certain states you are not allowed to have paintball guns. You need a license for the BB guns. It's stupid here.
It sounds very similar to the UK.
Yes, it is stupid, but yeah, as I said, I keep going till they knock on my door.
The next one we got is by Rex Burlock Jr. So shout out to Rex. As a maker, a true artisan of functional artwork, what other makers has inspired you to craft, and your favorite frame? He wants to know your favorite frame from another maker.
So it is seriously Melis is his name, as far as I know, and that's Sharko690 on Instagram. He made me most of the time doing this wow face. Then after that, I would say Moan Waller. I like a lot of Moan Waller stuff. He has certain frames where the way how he chooses colors different than me, especially because he does mosaic frames a lot with mosaic gluings, and so he has there a wide spectrum of colors. And with my frames, you see that I minimize it a little bit to 2 or 3 colors and not too many. I don't know. Maybe I'm a web designer. Actually, I learned web design back in the day. So you do a lot with color palettes, and when I see that colors don't fit together, I won't do it. But then there's people that they like purple and green together. In my eyes, it biting each other, So I think there's so many makers out there who make frames where I love, and then also frames where I said, no, I wouldn't spend a dime on it. So, but I think that is with everyone. I think Moan looks at me and says, well, I like his custom frames, but his G10s, they are boring, because his G10 frames, they look different than mine, he even works with timber and G10 and other materials at the same time. As when I do a G10 frame, I barely use any other materials as resin, but no timber usually.
Sure.
But yeah, that's much what I could say about makers.
Nice. So the next one is by someone you might know. This is by none other than Amanda Kitten.
Oh shit.
So the first one is, if you were to go camping with her and she was about to be attacked by a wallaby, would you A, help and rescue her, B, sit back and think to yourself, that will make a great addition to a new Slingshot theme and name it the Wallaby Edition? B, now that we're living in a camper van, do you think you can keep the noise down after 7 p.m? And C, what gives you the most satisfaction when you do your Slingshots?
Well, I let that wallaby fucking fight with my wife and watch it. I mean, wallabies are small kangaroos. They're not really the biggest one. My wife is not the biggest one either. So it would be fun watching them. And seriously, it would give me an idea for a new frame. What was the next one? About the time or?
Yeah, after 7 p.m. now that you're living in a caravan.
Whoa. 7 o'clock, that's early for me, Normally I work till 10, but since we're living now in the caravan park, I can't do that anymore. So I will slow down. Yes, missus. She sits over there, she's laughing her ass off, Yeah, I will slow down with the noise, that's for sure. And the satisfaction one, what was that?
What is your greatest satisfaction in Slingshots?
Well, the only satisfaction what I get is either when I have a new idea and it works out. And I think it's with a lot of makers, they make a frame and say, this is my nicest frame. And then the next time they make a frame and say, fuck the last one, this is the best one, And it keeps going, it is always the newest is the best one. So if then someone says to me, hey, your new frame, I've never seen something like that before, that gives me a kind of satisfaction, because then I know the people like it, I get a kind of a compliment. He never seen something like that before, and that is a nice thing to hear or to see the comments or something. And if I do something what I've never done before and it worked out, that as an extra, like when I did the skull, the skulls, the first one came out all right, but not perfect. And then I remodeled the mold, the model, and I sanded more, and I made it way nicer for the mold. So I make another mold, and when that came out, then I thought, now it looks more professional as before. Before you could see sanding scratches still in the mold, and whatsoever, and I was just too fast with it, I couldn't wait. And then took a little bit more time for the second one, and then everything goes well. And that's, I guess, like with everyone else who makes frames or knives or anything like that. If you've done something where you look at it and think, yeah, this is probably my nicest frame, then that is where I get my kick out.
Nice. So usually, I've got a list of frames that I want, and usually I get someone on the Sling Den, and then after talking to them, I end up wanting one. But I've already wanted one of yours for a while, and I've actually bought one, which I sent to Mikey. But for the people watching that do want to get hold of your frames, let us quickly know where we can find them. I will put a description in the link below, but let people know where we can get them.
So at the beginning, I was selling on Etsy, but I stopped doing that because Etsy, they are pure gangsters. As an example, if I sell a frame for $270, where $20 of postage is included, then Etsy puts $20 on top of that for you guys for the tax, So a frame cost for me $270 will cost you later $290. When the money gets transferred to Etsy from you, after they taking their taxes and everything off there, I get basically $220. That's $50 less as I basically would get, for the 270 if I would sell it in private, and then on top is also the $20 what you pay on tax. That makes the frame $70 what goes to Etsy and not to me, and I think it's too much, Then I started saying, before I sell it for $270 on Etsy, if someone wants to buy it for $250 in private, he makes a good deal because he doesn't have to pay on top. I don't lose the money, and everyone gets happy away, So
Sure.
since then, I basically only put it on my Down Under Catapults site if I have something for sale, or in Slingshot groups. That's the one way. And then I have Alex Richards in the UK, which is he's my best mate. There's no other mate on this bloody planet who I could call my best mate, He's selling my frames. So when I make a stash, a whole lot, I send them over to him, and he advertises them in the UK groups and sells it for me there. And that's the second spot where you could get them. If you live in the UK, you wouldn't have to pay for postage. You just have to add Alex or look for his posts online, and then you have the frames in 2 days, and they will be at your place, and not 3 months or 3 weeks or whatever from Australia.
Nice. Well, like I said, I'll put some descriptions in the link below. So if you're watching this, click the links and you can get your hands on one of the frames. But is there any message you want to leave us with just before we let you go? Because I know it's quite late over there in Australia.
Oh, that's all right. Yeah, it's just 10 p.m. So still, it's 3 hours over after the 7. So I maybe should talk a little bit quicker. But no, what could I say? In no other community I have seen so many people holding together, making people's life better by sending stuff back and forth, messaging. Like when some people found out that I have bad anxiety and depressions, there were straight a couple of people that messaged me, and they messaged me on a daily basis, every day. Leon, he messaged me every day. Then Alex, I nearly message every day with him. Sean Shackleton, I talk a lot to him. There's quite a lot of people who supported me in the time where I was down and I was not able to do something. And also when my dad passed away, there was no day. I think the first 3 days I was only on my phone all day, because if I finished with one, I had to answer the next one and the next one. And the way how people care in this community is just awesome. So I absolutely love that. I know that there's always stress makers here and there. You don't get that out of anywhere, but here in that community, I think you barely see it. If you do other stuff, when I was skateboarding, doesn't matter if it was street or mini ramp or whatsoever, there it's always a competition. You always have to be better than someone else, and if you do something better, then you are the cock, and whatsoever. There's always this competition thing. And same with graffiti, when you start spraying and you put something nice on the wall, there's also someone else coming and think, I can do better. He paints you $100 picture straight over shot after you painted it, But here in the community, I think everyone is holding together, keeping their shit for themselves most of the time. And if someone has a problem, like not long ago, don't want to call names, but there was something going on, you could see how many people went onto his thread and told him, hey, mate, you have to keep going. Don't stop. Don't give a shit about what others say, And you will always see there's enough people who support you no matter what, And that's a great thing. I think that's the main thing. Yeah, love that.
I completely agree. This community is special in a lot of ways. And I'm happy that you're part of it. Hopefully, you can be the catalyst for Australia to maybe step up the game. And you never know, in a couple of years, you might see flying pupils coming out.
Yeah, one day, anyway. So my wife, she wants to see Europe, Germany, mainly Germany. But I said, if I ever leave the country again to make holiday, then it won't be only Germany, because I had enough of that in life, So my plans would be Charlie Hill, where I was born, where I was living that part of Germany, then go straight up to the Netherlands where her relatives come from, stay there a bit, then go over to the UK, see Alex, Sean, a couple of people from over there. And since there's competitions and certain things, I would look if I could be there part of it. And then from the UK straight over to America and visit there a couple of mates, you know. So it would be a big tour. But yeah, every country for a couple of days and then to the next, to the next, to the next. And then I hopefully be able to do one day a slingshot competition, you know. It doesn't matter which one, you know. But
Nice.
would be great to meet people, you know. I mean, talking to them online, chatting is nice, you know, but if you ever have the chance to stand in front of John Jeffries, you know, shake his hand and say, mate, you know, John Jeffries, at the beginning when I started making frames, I've never seen a picture from him, you know. The name John, my dad's name was John. It's a name for old people. I always imagined this old fellow, gray hairs, long hairs, you know, with a goatee or something. That's what I thought is John Jeffrey, you know, this old fella, you know, sitting there somewhere. And when I saw the first time a picture of John Jeffrey, I thought, this is not, no, you're destroying my illusions, you know. It can't be a young fella like that, you know. He's making friends. He's so fucking known all over the world, you know. He's a top maker, you know, in my eyes, you know, and an awesome shooter, you know. But honestly, I thought it must be an old bloke, you know, because you look at his work, it's absolutely stunning, perfect. Yeah, there's no words for his work, you know. So I thought, no, won't be a young bloke, you know. He's probably 10, 15 years younger than me. I'm 50 now, nearly 48. So I'm guessing he's quite a bit younger. And then to see his success and whatsoever, absolute respect from him, you know, and his work. Absolutely.
Perfect. Well, we're going to let you go there. Either, you know, get some food, have some sleep, whatever you do over there at 10 o'clock at night in Australia. But it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. I've really enjoyed that chat, and I can't wait to get one of your frames in my hand.
No worries. No, I enjoyed it as well, and I'm still speechless that you took me on show, you know, because as we said before, I never thought that I get anywhere close to something like that, you know. When yeah, when you were saying the first time one day I take you on the show, I thought, well, yeah, it will still take a while, you know. There's other people out there, you know. But yeah, at the end, I'm super happy, super stoked that it came so far, you know, and pretty glad about it, happy.
Perfect. There we go. Well, thanks for your time, Chris. We'll talk soon.
No worries. Then you have a great day. I look that I get something into my mouth and then jump into bed.
Perfect. Take care. Speak soon.
Hey guys.